Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are smack dab in the middle of rivalry week, but Utah Jazz ever so close to getting the season started. It's been great watching Ace Bailey out on the court to start preseason ball. And joining us now, Danny Ainge from the Utah Jazz. Kind enough to hang out with us. Danny, how are you?
Hello, Danny.
Scott, Hans, how you doing?
It's so good to hear your voice, especially on a rivalry week. Does this week get you juiced more than other weeks?
Oh, yeah. This is, I wouldn't say just the rivalry, but the meaning of the game and the quality of the teams and the rivalry added, like that just makes it that much more fun.
How was it when you played back in the day against the University of Utah in basketball?
Oh, it was really exciting. I think that for those reasons, both teams were really good. And we're always fighting for NCAA spots and championships of the conference. And they had great players when I played, and Danny Brains and Chambers and Pace Mannion, and it was fun rivalry.
How did Frank Arnold handle it?
So when I got here, I grew up in Oregon, so I was familiar with, the Beavers and the Ducks and that rivalry. And so it didn't take me long to kind of get into it. But, Hans, I'm just not built the way some people are, where you got to hate your opponents. I was in Boston and we had to hate the Lakers, and, I didn't hate Magic. I didn't hate Byron. Like I wanted to beat them so bad because it's the NBA Finals and they're the best. And that's how I felt when I was playing Utah in those days. And I think Frank was the same way. I don't think he really built it up to be so much more important than any other game, because as a player, and, as you go on in life and you spend time with sports psychologists, you realize you don't want it too bad. Everybody thinks you just got to want it more than the other person, but sometimes that can be a detriment if you want it so bad. And I think Frank was more of a calmer approach to it, although you just knew it was a big game from, all the buzz around town and how much preparation was going into it.
It's funny you bring that up, because in, talking to a lot of coaches, especially big games, playoff games or rivalry games like this, we've asked, is it possible to be too hyped up for a game? And they say all the time, yes, absolutely. You got to stay medium in terms of your emotions, because if you come out too juiced, it can be to your detriment, as you're mentioning.
No question about it. And, I grew up with two older brothers, 3 and 4 years older than me, and they beat the crap out of me, and they were better. And so, nobody I wanted to beat more than them. But, you can't want it so bad, and you learn that through life. There's so many rivalry games in your whole youth in every sport, and so I do believe that wholeheartedly. No matter what sport it is, you got to want it enough, and you can't want it too much, and that's a hard balance.
I'm sure, Danny, you saw your Cougars had a preseason ranking at number 8 in the country. High expectations. Do you like to play with high expectations, or do you like to overachieve on maybe some low expectations?
Well, I think it's easier to overachieve on low expectations. I think it's easier on coaches and players because, so many teams expectations are way too high. And so you can never live up to expectations. You lose a game and, people are looking for something, what's wrong, and that player's not as good and the coach isn't doing his job. So I think unfair expectations are important to have, and preseason rankings actually mean 0 to me, but unfortunately we get caught up in them. You guys probably have been talking about it a lot too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a big story.
It doesn't mean anything. 3 games in, it all changes. So you just gotta, it's hard on coaches. You gotta manage expectations because you don't want to take dreams away. But expectations, the most important expectations are, what do the players really believe? Not what are they told and what do they talk about, but what do they really believe they can accomplish?
When you first caught wind of Kevin Young and his career that he was developing in the NBA, what jumped out at you and what made you feel like Hey, when BYU made that hire, like, okay, they nailed that one. What was it about his personality, his demeanor, his X's and O's that led you to believe he could be successful at the collegiate level?
Well, I tried to hire Kevin when he was about 28 or 29 years old in Boston. I tried to hire him to run my entire G League. I thought he was a good player. I like his temperament. I like his intelligence. But he has a really good way about him. He communicates well. He's firm. He doesn't back down from players, but he communicates really well with them. And from everything that I'd heard, even then, was how much the players liked playing for him. And again, not because he was their buddy, but because players want to get better, and they recognize coaches. You never heard a player say, the coach that was the easiest on me, that was my friend, was the coach I liked the most. It's mostly the guys that pushed me the hardest and believed in me. And I think that's who Kevin Young is.
Well, Danny, since we last talked to you, the Utah Jazz have played 3 preseason games, and, we have really been watching Ace Bailey, those first 2 preseason games where he was somewhere 35, 38 minutes on the court, putting up big-time points, shooting well from 3, hitting a nice percentage from the field, long. How much can you actually take away from what our eyes are seeing in the preseason in regards to Ace Bailey?
Well, I think Ace is a really talented kid, and Ace, he obviously has skills that we can build on and look forward to. I think that he's got a long way to go. Conditioning on the defense and rebounding. I mean, all the little things of the game that every 19-year-old in the world can get better at. But you see a lot of promise in Ace, and you see his passion for the game, and it's contagious around our organization. So we just we're fortunate we get to watch Ace develop.
I remember talking to Sam Merrill and his first year in the league, and he mentioned everybody kept talking about the speed of the game. I better be ready for the speed of the game. So I went in knowing that the game was going to be really fast, which it was. He said the one thing I wasn't prepared for was the strength of players in the league and how strong players are and the physicality. It just doesn't translate on television as it does out there on the court. How much of an adjustment is that for players like Ace Bailey that are still kind of growing into their body and trying to figure out, the nutrition and everything else that needs to go into it to building up the body to be able to handle that kind of strength?
Yeah, strength is huge. And yeah, I remember even back in my day when I got into the league, like after a year of playing in the league, that's all you think about. I got to get stronger. I got to play against this guy and this guy and this guy. And so I think that our players are motivated. I don't know how Ace is going to get motivated, how fast he's going to get motivated on that. He's doing everything that's asked of him. But I think that when you're just really passionate and you realize I want to be great, and I have to get stronger and faster and better conditioned. You see the players that really want it spend a lot of time doing that.
Danny, when I went into, college football and then into the NFL, like everything is so specific. Oh, you're an offensive guard, you're a defensive tackle. You know exactly what your role is on a football field. And I'm watching Taylor Hendricks kind of grow and develop. And I watched that first preseason opener against Houston. And he's sitting on the outside, and he takes 8 threes, and he drops 4 of them, and he hits 50%. And I remember thinking, wait, that isn't the kind of what I perceive Taylor Hendricks to be at 6'9", 225 pounds. How much do you kind of model a guy or look at a guy, or how much do you let him free flow and just be what he is as a basketball player? Does that question make sense, Danny?
Yeah, I think that sometimes you don't want to label a guy too soon. You want to let him go. That's the beauty of having young players play in the G League. Sometimes you see something that they're not going to get a chance to do in the NBA because they're playing with all-star players or veterans, and the coach is patterning his system after what he knows and not what he doesn't know in a young player. So I think that being able to have the freedom to play is really good. Playing in a summer league or a G League, you sometimes see things that you don't recognize. But Taylor's a fascinating story because of, he was really playing well. and he has a dramatic injury. And, he's worked so hard to get back. I mean, his body, he's put on 25 pounds. He's up to like 235. And, he's the one thing that's transitioned since his injury is he right now is more comfortable playing the 4 than he is the 3 because his body's gotten stronger and he can bang inside a little bit and he can post up and take advantage of smaller players that he wasn't able to do as he was younger. But talk about someone that's been motivated to get back and he's put a ton of time. And it's good. And it's good to see him, getting some confidence again. And it'll be fun to see him watch him develop more.
How difficult?
These guys are. He's still only 21.
I know, right?
Yeah,
he's crazy
Just
young.
a baby.
Yeah.
He's a junior in college right now.
Yep.
How hard is it in your position and Austin's position when you're evaluating players? It's got to break your heart a little bit when it comes to the end of camp and the end of the preseason when you've got to make hard personnel decisions because these guys are, fighting for their livelihoods and you've got to make tough decisions as to what's best for the team. How difficult is that from, just from a human being standpoint to tell guys, hey, you know what, it's not working out here, but let's help you somewhere else down the line. I mean, it's got to be tough for you.
Yeah, it's never fun making those decisions on players because you know what they put into it to make it. Fortunately, like I said, we do have the G League, and that helps a little bit. Guys can go down and play, especially young players. But there's been players that, I've had to cut that turned out to be good players. Steven Jackson comes to mind. He was a high school kid, and, those were the days you had 12-man rosters. You didn't really have a G League, and he wasn't quite ready for a team that had won 56 games. So, but he turned out, played a few years of professional overseas, et cetera. And, next thing you know, he's back in the league and he's a really good player. Love those stories.
Is the world of NIL helpful in terms of allowing kids to stay in college more than they probably would otherwise because they can make more money, playing another year of college than they can in the G League? So does that help, or would you rather them get to the G League sooner so they can get better coaching and just focus in on their craft?
I would prefer people stay in college and play as long as they can. I just believe that the longer you're in and as long as you're playing for a good coach and a good system for you, then I just think the more prepared you are. We talked about strength and we talked about conditioning. And so like the more a player is prepared when his opening day comes, that's like, I think it's the odds of him lasting longer are better. And, even though there's development in the G League, et cetera, and we have a lot of young players right now, but, it's hard for everybody to keep faith in you when you're not as strong as you need to be. And coaches, unfortunately, live in the moment sometimes. And so it can still be challenging when kids come out early, and it doesn't always work out for those young players. So I love it when players stay, want to get better, want to get stronger, just like we talked about.
Well, Danny, if you're at the Rivalry game this weekend and you feel like calling a game,
I will be, bro.
I'm sure Greg Wrubell would be more than happy to rip the headset off me and put it on you and have you call the game. So feel free to come up to the booth and have your voice on a little bit of football. But I hope you enjoy the weekend, Danny.
Yeah, I do. It's a big game. Obviously, I'm rooting for BYU, but I did get to know Kyle when we were at BYU together.
Oh, that's right.
And he was really, really good friends with Greg Balliff, who was on our team. And I got to know Kyle and watch him, go from I think he was a fullback, maybe a tailback, but anyway, a running back to a linebacker. And, was the best defensive player in the conference. And it's been fun following Kyle throughout his career.
No question.
But yeah, it's a huge game for both teams.
Hey, you obviously so well known as being the dual sport athlete in baseball and basketball, but back in the day, did you put the pads on in high school?
I played high school football. Yeah, I was an All-American wide receiver.
Not surprised.
Of course he is. All
not
right.
even. I'm just
yeah,
not surprised. Honestly, Danny could probably put on skates and go hit the opener tonight with the Mammoth.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time you spend with this NHL business, Danny, but holy cow, it gets my blood pressure up. Being in that stadium, being in that arena, in those games is just something special.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a great thing to watch. I love it.
Danny, we appreciate it.
You guys going to the opening hockey game tonight?
Oh, yeah. Lloyd and I are coming down. Scotty's got a coach's show.
I got to go up to Logan to do a coach's show with Bronco, but if not, I would be there for sure. So,
But Lloyd and I are coming out.
Okay. Say hi to Bronco for me.
I will.
Him, too. He's fun. It's fun to root for him in the state also.
He's the best.
Hope he has success there.
For
Yeah,
sure.
me too.
I'll let him know. Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
All right, guys. See ya.
There he is, Danny Ainge. All right. Now I feel like I should have known he was an All-American wide receiver. I feel like I screwed up on that one.
I do, too, because the way he answered, it was like he let the pause, and he's like, yeah.
Did you know?
I was an All-American. Yeah, I did. Everybody can. No. I knew he was really good at baseball.
I knew he was going to be great at whatever sport he played. I just didn't know if.
I know he's regarded as one of the very few crossover able athletes at the professional level.
Yes. And if he would have gone all in on baseball, there's no doubt he would have had a 15-year Major League Baseball career.
Yeah. I love that we get him every week because otherwise Scotty and we'd feel pressed to, roll out on some different preseason stuff because, I wanted to get into a couple of different areas, but we get him every single week through the Jazz season. And we have people that tweet in, ask him about playing with Larry Bird, ask him about this and that. And
Walker Kessler's contract.
We've got
lots of time.
Yep. And just put it in your calendar every Wednesday at 12:30. You get to have just a fun back and forth, a great conversation with the legend Danny Ainge.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Danny Ainge, Major League Baseball draft pick, NBA legend, and, oh, by the way, high school All-American wide receiver. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Number one.
Miss any part of the show? Every moment of every show is available in podcast form by searching Hans and Scotty on your favorite podcasting platform or online at KSLSports.com. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hockey tonight, Hans.
Yeah.
The home opener.
The Mammoth Open against the Calgary Flame coming up tonight. Calgary just lost a pretty ugly, actually, it was a pretty ugly game.
Yeah.
Vegas came to them, so they went to Calgary. Vegas wiped them up. I think it was 4-2 or it was 4-1 last night. I can look that up really quick for people just to give you the exact score. Last night it was 4-2. So Vegas went to Calgary and beat them up. So right now, Calgary's coming into the Delta Center on a 3-game losing skid. They got their opener against the Oilers, as I mentioned.
Yep.
When you beat Edmonton, especially when you're in Calgary, I'm sure that's a big game, and they beat them 4-3 in a shootout, if I remember right. But I think it was a shootout. But you're getting a Calgary team that's probably pretty ticked off, but probably exhausted too because they just played Vegas last night.
Back end of a back-to-back. Let's go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.